China, Mexico. Cuba, China, Mexico. Cuba, China, Mexico. Cuba. And we had a really good discussion about Cuba, because we have very similar views on Cuba. Mexico. China, China, as you know, Mexico. 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 They actually get it, but they don't write it, let's put it that way. But States and Big League, Ford, General Motors, so many of them. I'm making this presentation directly to the American people with the media present, which is an honor to have you. This morning, because many of our nation's reporters and folks will not tell you the truth and will not treat the wonderful people of our country with the respect that they deserve. And I hope going forward we can be a little bit different and maybe get along a little bit better if that's possible. Maybe it's not, and that's okay too. But a lot of people are happy about it. We've withdrawn from the job-killing disaster known as Trans-Pacific Partnership, and we've ordered an end to the policy of catch and release on the border. No more release. No matter who you are, release. Obamacare is a disaster, folks. It's a disaster. To bring our jobs back, to bring our jobs back to this country, big league. It's already happening, but big league. Other countries have been taking advantage of us for decades, decades and decades and decades, folks. And we're not going to let that happen anymore. Not going to let it happen. What was wrong was the way that other people, including yourselves in this room, were given that information. Because that was classified information. It was given illegally. That's the real problem. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. I called, as you know, Mexico. 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 Why? Because it's an illegal process, and the press should be ashamed of themselves. Will the failing New York Times, will the failing New York Times, will the failing New York Times, I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Wall Street Journal did a story today that was almost as disgraceful as the failing New York Times' story yesterday. Because I sort of enjoy this back and forth, and I guess I have all my life, but I've never seen more dishonest media than, frankly, the political media. I thought the financial media was much better, much more honest. How do they write a story like that in the Wall Street Journal without asking me? Or how do they write a story in the New York Times, put it on front page? That was like the story they wrote about the women and me. Front page, big, massive story, and it was nasty. And then they called, they said, we never said that. We like Mr. Trump. They called up my office. We like Mr. Trump. We never said that. And it was they totally misrepresented those very wonderful women, I have to tell you, totally misrepresented. I said, give us a retraction. They never gave us a retraction. And frankly, I then went on to other things. I don't mind bad stories. I can handle a bad story better than anybody, as long as it's true. And, you know, over a course of time, I'll make mistakes and you'll write badly, and I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay when it is fake. I mean, I watch CNN, it's so much anger and hatred and just the hatred. I don't watch it anymore because it's very good. He's saying no. I know how good everybody's ratings are right now, but I think that'd actually be better. People, I mean, you have a lower approval rate than Congress. I think that's right. I don't know, Peter, is that one right? Because, you know, I think they have lower, I heard lower than Congress. I have nothing to do with Russia. I told you, I have no deals there. I have no anything. Now, when WikiLeaks, which I had nothing to do with, comes out and happens to give, they're not giving classified information. They're giving stuff, what was said in an office about Hillary cheating on the debates, which, by the way, nobody mentions. Nobody mentions that Hillary received the questions to the debates. Can you imagine, seriously, can you imagine if I received the questions? It would be the electric chair, okay? He should be put in the electric. You would even call for the reinstitution of the death penalty, okay?
If I may follow up on some of the questions that have taken place so far, sir.
Well, not too many, you know, we do have other people. You do have other people, and your ratings aren't as good as some of the other people that are waiting. And we had a really good discussion about Cuba, because we have very similar views on Cuba. And we had a really good discussion about Cuba, because we have very similar views on Cuba. I mean, think of it. They gave her the questions to a debate, and she should have reported herself. Why didn't Hillary Clinton announce that, I'm sorry, but I have been given the questions to a debate or a town hall, and I feel that it's inappropriate, and I want to turn in CNN for not doing a good job. And I'll tell you what else I see. I see tone. You know the word tone. The tone is such hatred. I'm really not a bad person, by the way. No, but the tone is such, I do get good ratings, you have to admit that. The tone is such hatred. It's the most honest. But the tone, Jim, if you look, the hatred, I mean, sometimes somebody gets, well, you look at your show that goes on at 10 o'clock in the evening. You just take a look at that show. That is a constant hit. The panel is almost always exclusive anti-Trump. The good news is he doesn't have good ratings. Go ahead.
I mean, just one more follow-up.
Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. Sit down.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
Go ahead.
Real news, Mr. President. Real news.
I won. And the other thing, chaos. There's zero chaos. We are running, this is a fine-tuned machine. Hillary Clinton gave him 20% of our uranium. Hillary Clinton did a reset. Remember with the stupid plastic button that made us all look like a bunch of jerks? Here, take a look. He looked at her like, what the hell is she doing with that cheap plastic button? But I want to just tell you, the false reporting by the media, by you people, the false, horrible, fake reporting makes it much harder to make a deal with Russia. But I know you well enough. Then you would say, he was too tough. He shouldn't have done that. Look,
I'm just trying to find out your orientation to those.
Excuse me, just one second.
Find out what
all
you
of
can do
those
about it, Mr.
things that you
President.
mentioned are very recent. Because probably Putin assumes that he's not going to be able to make a deal with me because it's politically not popular for me to make a deal. So Hillary Clinton tries a reset. It failed. They all tried. But I'm different than those people. Go ahead. Yes, I think that I've
Is
already...
Putin testing you, do you believe, sir?
No, I don't think so. I think Putin probably assumes that he can't make a deal with me anymore because politically it would be unpopular for a politician to make a deal. I can't believe I'm saying I'm a politician, but I guess that's what I am now. Does anybody really think that Hillary Clinton would be tougher on Russia than Donald Trump? Does anybody in this room really believe that? Okay? But I tell you one thing. She tried to make a deal. She had the reset. She gave all that valuable uranium away. She did other things. You know, they say I'm close to Russia. Hillary Clinton gave away 20% of the uranium in the United States. She's close to Russia.
Can we?
You know what I gave to Russia? You know what I gave? Nothing.
Can,
So I don't have to tell you.
There
I
will
don't
be a
want to be one of
response.
these guys that say, yes, here's what we're going to do. I don't have to do that.
There will
I don't
be a
have to
res-
tell
in
you
other
what
words,
I'm
there
going to
will be a
do in North
response,
Korea.
Mr.
Wait a
President.
minute. I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do in North Korea. And I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do with Iran. You know why? Because they shouldn't know. And eventually you guys are going to get tired of asking that question. So when you ask me, what am I going to do with the ship, the Russian ship as an example, I'm not going to tell you. But hopefully I won't have to do anything. But I'm not going to tell you.
Can I just ask you, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Where are you from?
BBC.
Okay. Here's another beauty.
It's a good line. Impartial, free and fair.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. President,
Just like CNN, right?
on the travel ban, would you accept that that was a good example of the smooth running of government?
Yeah, I do. Let me tell you about the
Were there
travel.
any mistakes in that?
Wait. I know who you are. Just wait.
During the election?
No, nobody that I know of.
So
Nobody
you're
that I
not
know.
aware of any context during the course
Look.
of the election?
How many times do I have to answer this question?
Can you just say
Russia
yes or no
is
on
a
it?
ruse. Yeah, I know you have to get up and ask a question, so important. Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia. Haven't made a phone call to Russia in years. Don't speak to people from Russia. Not that I wouldn't. I just have nobody to speak to. I spoke to Putin twice. He called me on the election. I told you this. And he called me on the inauguration a few days ago. We had a very good talk, especially the second one. Lasted for a pretty long period of time. I'm sure you probably get it because it was classified, so I'm sure everybody in this room perhaps has it. How much longer should we stay here, folks? 5 more minutes. Is that okay? 5? Wait, let's see. I want to find a friendly reporter. Used to say it was John. Are you a friendly reporter? Watch how friendly he is. Wait. Watch how friendly he is. Go ahead. See, he said he was going to ask a very simple, easy question. And it's not. It's not. Not a simple question, not a fair question. Okay, sit down. I understand the rest of your question. So here's the story, folks. Number one, I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life. Number two, racism. The least racist person. In fact, we did very well relative to other people running as a Republican. Quiet. See, he lied about he was going to get up and ask a very straight, simple question. So, it's welcome to the world of the media. But let me just tell you something, that I hate the charge. I find it repulsive. I hate even the question because people that know me, and you heard the Prime Minister, you heard Netanyahu yesterday. Did you hear him? Bibi. He said, I've known Donald Trump for a long time. And then he said, forget it. So you should take that instead of having to get up and ask a very insulting question like that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Lisa from the PBS.
See, it just shows you about the press, but that's the way the press is. Now that's what I call a nice question. That is very nice. Who are you with? Good, I'm going to start watching, all right? Thank you very much. Melania is terrific. She was here last night. We had dinner with Senator Rubio and his wife, who is, by the way, lovely. And we had a really good discussion about Cuba, because we have very similar views on Cuba. And we had a really good discussion about Cuba, because we have very similar, and Cuba was very good to me in the Florida election, as you know, the Cuban people, Americans. And a funny thing happens, because she gets so unfairly maligned. The things they say, I've known her for a long time. She was a very successful person. She was a very successful model. And they're not doing this for money. They're not doing this for pay. They're doing this because they feel it, both of them. And Melania goes back and forth, and after Barron finishes school, because it's hard to take a child out of school with a few months left, she and Barron will be moving over to the White House. Okay? Thank you. It's a very nice question. Go ahead. Yes. This is going to be a bad question, but that's okay.
See, it wasn't bad, was it?
That was very professional and very good.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
we'll be
professional,
announcing
yes.
the order in a little while, and I'd rather let the order speak for itself, but it'll be something I think that will be very good for everybody concerned. But we'll talk to you about that after we do the announcement. And they're living in hell. I mean, you look at the numbers in Chicago. There are 2 Chicagos, as you know. There's one Chicago that's incredible, luxurious, and all, and safe. There's another Chicago that's worse than almost any of the places in the Middle East that we talk about and that you talk about every night on the newscasts. So we're going to do a lot of work on the inner cities. I have great people lined up to help with the inner cities.
Well,
Okay?
when you say the inner cities, are you gonna include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as?
Am I gonna include
Are you
who?
going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well, I
Hispanic
would. I
Caucus,
tell you what. Do you want to
as
set
well
up
as
the
on
meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of
I'm
yours?
just a reporter.
No, set up the
I
meeting.
know some of them, but I'm sure
Let's
they're
go.
watching
Set up
right
a
now.
meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's great. I actually thought I had a meeting with Congressman Cummings, and he was all excited. And then he said, oh, I can't move. It might be bad for me politically. I can't have that meeting. I was all set to have the meeting. You know, we called him, and he was all set. I spoke to him on the phone. Very nice guy.
I hear he wanted that meeting with you as well.
He wanted it, but we called. They can't make a meeting with him. Every day I walk in, I said, I would like to meet with him because I do want to solve the problem. But he probably was told by Schumer or somebody like that, some other lightweight. He was probably told, don't meet with Trump. It's bad politics. And that's part of the problem in this country. Okay, one more. No, one question. 2 we can't handle. This room can't handle 2. Go ahead. Give me the better of your 2. And some of it, and can I be honest with you? And this has to do with racism and horrible things that are put up. Some of it written by our opponents. You do know that. Do you understand that? You don't think anybody would do a thing like that. Some of the signs you'll see are not put up by the people that love or like Donald Trump. They're put up by the other side. And you think it's like playing it straight? No. But you have some of those signs, and some of that anger is caused by the other side. They'll do signs and they'll do drawings that are inappropriate. It won't be my people. It will be the people on the other side to anger people like you.
What are you going to do about the tensions that have been?
Oh, I'm working on it. No, I'm working on it very hard. No. Look, hey, just so you understand, we had a totally divided country for 8 years, and long before that, in all fairness to President Obama, long before President Obama, we have had a very divided. I didn't come along and divide this country. This country was seriously divided before I got here. This isn't Donald Trump that divided a nation. We went 8 years with President Obama, and we went many years before President Obama. We lived in a divided nation. And I am going to try. I will do everything within my power to fix that. I want to thank everybody very much. It's a great honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.